Welcome to episode number 6 of Best on Tour this week for the week of April 14th, 2025. I'm Matt Pangrac along with my co-host Dave Rush from Best on Tour, where we talk about what happened in professional bass fishing, both on the water and in the industry. And there was a lot that happened both and on and off of the water this week, Dave, including a number of record-setting performances on the East Coast and the West Coast.
Definitely big things to talk about this week, Matt, and that is referring to weights.
Definitely. Kyle Welcher dominated the third Bassmaster Elite Series stop of the season on the Pasquotank River and Albemarle Sound in North Carolina with a 4-day 20 bass total weight of 118 pounds, 12 ounces. It was a 45-pound, 7-ounce margin of victory in his wire-to-wire victory, which got us talking about some of the other notable blowouts in professional bass fishing history, Dave.
Yeah, Kyle has definitely topped them all, but some of the other notable blowouts that we have talked about in the past: Patrick Walters, an impressive 29-10 margin of victory on Lake Fork; Corey Johnson, 21-2 on St. Johns River; and the infamous Timmy Horton Lake Champlain Pizza Buffet halfway through the final day victory was only 12-14, but still impressive.
One of the largest playing fields in Elite Series history, as well as far as what was inbounds and out of bounds for the Elite Series anglers. Welcher stayed within 2 miles of the launch ramp, primarily targeting spawning bass off cypress knees and stumps. He used a Rapala Crush City Bronco bug that he Texas rigged on a 4-aught Gamakatsu G-Power hook, and then caught all those fish using 22-pound Sunline shooter line. After three events in the Angler of the Year, though, someone else who's impressive, Will Davis Jr., back-to-back Bass Nation national champion, leads the Angler of the Year race with finishes of 7th, 4th, and 24th as we approach the midway point of the 2025 Elite Series season.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things going on the Elite Series. Big weights, consistent performance from Will Davis, and he is your AOY leader currently.
All right, let's take it to the West Coast, where the 2025 Clear Lake Open, a 3-day event, also saw record weights fall.
Yeah, 102.81 pounds, breaking the 3-day one bass record for tournaments.
John Pearl wins that. He primarily used forward-facing sonar. He was targeting bait balls with a Bass Union jig head and a Sakamata shad made by Depths in a couple of different colors. He also added a couple giants to his bag using a 13-inch CGJ custom glide bait. Dave, John Pearl, not a stranger to the winner's circle and to accolades out on the West Coast.
Yeah, Pearl, former American Bass Angler of the Year, Angler's Choice Angler of the Year, and won the 2020 Wild West Bass Trail Tournament of Champions. And also impressive, Matt, 83.49 pounds over 3 days, just a top 10 on Clear Lake. So that place is on fire.
Former Elite Series angler and big bass specialist Ish Monroe was in that top 10 as well. So some heavy hitters getting the job done on Clear Lake. Another big weight tournament took place on Wheeler Lake over the weekend, and that was the MLF College National Championship. It was a 1-2 finish for the collegiate juggernaut Montevallo. Brody Robinson and Peyton Soro, 64 pounds, 15 ounces mixed bag on Wheeler Lake to take the national championship. A lot of other smaller tournaments and regional tournaments going on this week, but the collegiate national championship, a record at Clear Lake and a record at the Pasquotank River. You couldn't ask for a much better week in professional bass fishing.
Yeah, definitely got your fix of big weight events.
All right, off the water, some interesting news taking place that affects the bass fishing industry, Dave.
Yeah, sure. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard about the 145% tariffs that have been imposed on China. China being one of the major manufacturers of a lot of the fishing tackle and fishing related products that are sold here in the United States. One thing interesting of note, as a reminder, some products are exempt from these reciprocal tariffs, including products subject to Section 232 aluminum derivative tariffs, which include fishing reels and landing nets. So maybe not as bad on your wallet if you're interested in purchasing a reel or a landing net currently. A recent Best on Tour subscriber poll I put out asking people, have the tariffs affected your fishing related purchases? 22%, 22.6% said yes, 54% said no, and 23.4% are not sure yet. They're waiting to see how that trickle down effect affects their pocketbook.
Become a better angler, get behind the scenes on the top fishing tours, learn the business side of the fishing industry and how to get sponsorships. The Best on Tour newsletter brings you all that once a week, completely free. And where can they sign up, Dave?
bestontour.net.
That's all we got. We'll be back next week with another episode of Best on Tour This Week. See ya.